in my phone.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
Kings fans, let's do this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The new guys lighten the beam on Saturday night. What a sports weekend. So much to talk about today. Oh, yeah, we got a game too. Kings, Mavs. The only thing that could probably make Mavs fan more depressed, more pissed, is if the Kings knock him off. No AD. He's injured. We know about that. Super Bowl is over. We talk about the other side of that. Some of you going through football withdrawals already. What do I do with my time? I'm not setting a fantasy team. Weekends. Oh my gosh. You know it's real. It's real. The NFL goes year round and they do the draft and all that, but it hits you so hard when the Super Bowl's over. It's like, what am I going to do for 5 months? And I know we've got Kings, we've got NBA, but it's different. It really is different. You can't tell me otherwise. Are you feeling it? And why do the kids have today off? The son is home. Adults have to work. What's up with that? Anyways, a lot to get to. Kings, so much audio. Malik, colorful as ever after the Pelicans game. Good to have the Kings back at 500. Why Malik thinks the next 3 games are the most important to this team gelling and getting on the same page, and much more. By the way, Domas snubbed again. Kyrie Irving going to be replacing AD in the All-Star game. Seriously? Are we being serious here? Anyways, we get to it. Your calls as well. A lot happening today. Let's get at it. Court's in session, y'all. What do you want to talk about? It's your show. Take it over on If You Don't Like That.
Grant and Ryan break it down. It's Sacktown, we're the crown.
Needs to be more aggressive on the offensive end, but this is the kind of
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back in. Ryan in Sacktown with you. I guess that graphic didn't age very well. Baybound? Yeah, maybe to his Napa home. Does that count as Baybound? Oh, well, this team's going to have a week off. Put a chip on your shoulder. I think the team's already a little bit there. Now, De'Aaron Fox, he missed another rotation at the end of the game. Weird. And Eagles fans, can you not spell Eagles? Now, I get that NFL coverage of the Super Bowl, especially the day of the Super Bowl, is a long day. They've got to fill, 4 or 5 hours? But Kurt Menefee, a couple of other people, Strahan, they're like, all right, Eagles fans, it's your chance. Come on, spell it. And then it's just straight crickets from the Eagles fans. I was half expecting something like this.
Kabara Goya.
Kabara Goya. I knew it. I totally knew it.
Can I get the nation of origin? Can you use it in a sentence? Anyways, oh my gosh. Ryan's a 49er fan. I am not, but my dude, Haunted Horse, hit another parlay. How does that happen? He hit another damn parlay of touchdowns. I got the text message like third quarter. Like, really? How you pulling that off, man? How you pulling it off? Not a Colts fan. Hey, by the way, I'll just start you off here. That was not the best defensive performance of this century in a Super Bowl. Go back and watch the Seahawks Super Bowl. Way better, but still incredibly, incredibly impressive what the Eagles did to the Chiefs. And really, it was kind of that game plan. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it because it's been recycled and just beat to death by this point, 3:00 the next day. They kept Mahomes off the field. They were the better team, man to man, player to player, with the exception of 15. And they made 15 scramble. They made 15 feel that little internal clock speed up in his head, and just nothing could get going. They kept him off the field. But all in all, a really boring game. There was not much to that game. So, like I said, it's your show. Take it over. Use the link that is in the chat. We are going to take you up to the Kings and the Mavericks here in just about, we are literally about 2 hours and 30 minutes, a little bit under 2 hours and 30 minutes from tip off of that one. Remember, we are here the entire night. Bad news though, Jerry Reynolds took the loss last night so hard that he will not. No, I'm just kidding. Jerry is doing fine. In fact, we had a lovely about 35-40 minute conversation last night. Love talking with Jer. He is off though today, so Grant and I will have you at halftime. Well, at least I will definitely be here at halftime. I'm thinking Grant should be good. Remember, rest management, the voice thing still going on. And then post game, we take your calls. We talk about what this team's going to do, how they're going to use this, should I say, newfound bench. Only a 1-game sample size. That bench brought the Kings back, though. That game was dead on Saturday night. If you had a ticket to that game and you sat through the first 8 or 9 minutes, you're thinking, oh my gosh, especially if you're coming off of the Orlando game on Wednesday. And how about Jake LaRavia? You kidding me? Best 1-minute line? Best first 1-minute line by a King? 5 points, a steal, a block. He's going to play himself into some more playing time. So we've got a lot going on the channel today. Thanks for being here. We're going to incorporate all of you. Let's let our football guy kick it off. He might have just gotten back from the emergency room. They're like, what's wrong, man? He's like, I just can't function. I feel like crap. I'm shaky. Can you inject me with some pigskin? Just anything. Can you get some sweat from the jerseys, put it in a syringe, and jack it into my arm? Get me feeling right. Corn Dog, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing good, and I told you, man, not to bet Mahomes. I told you.
Bet Mahomes.
I told you, man. I told you not.
I mean, let's be real. This dude is probably going to chase down Brady at this pace. I mean, they were outclassed at every position. The Eagles just kind of felt like a team of destiny. There was just no stopping them.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, the Seahawks dismantling of the Broncos was worse just due to the fact that the Broncos was actually a good offense.
They had scored like 6,000 yards coming into that game.
Yeah, like this Chiefs offense was probably the worst they've had under Reed and Mahomes.
For sure.
And honestly, I've had some, like one coworker, he told me, dude, the Chiefs are like the worst one-loss team I've seen. And yeah, you know, it just turned out that way. I mean, the Eagles defense, their front four was very good. They've had some since their last time they played the Super Bowl, they've had really good draft picks that weren't in there. Jalen Carter falling to them, 1, and Cooper DeJean falling to them in the second round, 2. And guess who made big plays? Those guys.
Yep, they absolutely did.
And I was like, man, they really let these guys fall to the Eagles. That's not good.
You know what I thought was super interesting was the fact that the Eagles were resigned. I don't know if you listened to some of the post-game coverage when they were talking to Nick Sirianni and some of the other players. Sirianni, obviously the coach, first time winning Super Bowl coach, but they were resigned to the fact that you're going to take away Saquon. We get it. Maybe we'll spring one here or there. Doesn't mean we're going to go away from the run game, but they knew that Spags was going to make Jalen Hurts beat them. And to Jalen Hurts' credit, holy crap, he sure as hell did.
Yeah. Honestly, they even had a touch. They were going to score that first drive if that offensive PI on Brown doesn't get called. They were scoring that drive.
Yeah, I agree.
They were scoring. It probably could have been a lot worse at halftime than the 24. So yeah, they flew out everything they needed to win this game. Every piece that they added played up to what they could be, and yeah, this team's probably going to run the NFC for the next couple of years because Jalen Carter and Cooper DeJean aren't going away, folks. They're on rookie deals.
It's a very good point. And the Eagles were doing it with some guys that are old. I mean, like Brandon Graham.
Oh, yeah.
Like I remember watching, it was like Hard Knocks, or it was like one of those Amazon series where it follows the team through the season. Like, dude was thinking about retiring back then. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, just good for them. I'm glad they got it done. Now, Philly fan, that's just a whole nother animal. They're having their celebrations, doing what they do. But good stuff for them. Happy for them.
Oh, yeah. It was well-deserved. Can't complain. And now get ready for the draft in late April.
Yeah, I think I want to say the combine is at the end of this month. So that'll be here before you know it. And draft will be here. Draft's in Green Bay this year. That's going to be a blast. I was in Green Bay this last summer.
Oh, yeah. Wisconsin's great.
Oh, dude, I love the Wisco lifestyle. It's pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. Now, I would probably be about 500 pounds if I lived the Wisco lifestyle. Not calling them fat. It's just the amount of food and like the amount of fried good stuff that they have out there. Oh, man. Sign me up for like a week at a time.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I want to talk about for football. Let's get to the Kings.
Let's talk about it. What's up?
Man, first time I've seen us be good against the Pelicans since last year. I mean, we won already 2 games versus them this season, so great step right there. We killed it in the start of that second half in the third quarter. It was clicking, and let's go. I mean, Valanciunas, who was on the Pelicans last year, gave us problems last year, was now on our team.
I would agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, the size that they had last year, no Valanciunas. Brandon Ingram just got traded too. The length just got shortened on that team, and we were able to actually get to the basket and actually create some shots compared to what last year was. So, yeah, they lost pieces, but hey, beating a team that pretty much caused us to miss the playoffs last year, fantastic. Because losing 6 times to that one team just shot our shot of making the first round.
I think so. Now, their record, by the way, Zion played really well.
Yeah, he did. He almost made that comeback for him.
Well, CJ McCollum, too. Second time this year he's done that. Zion will only play 1 time in the next 2 games that the Kings play the Pels. For those that don't know, the Kings are playing tonight in Dallas, which we're going to get to. And then you have 1 day off. You play back-to-back games in New Orleans. So 3 games, 4 nights to head into the All-Star break. And then once the break's over, the Kings don't play till like the following Friday. So they have got a ton of time off.
Yeah, this is a great time for, this new team to gel. Gel with each other on your break, get to know each other's tendencies and stuff. Obviously, we got a new coach too as well that maybe could get some time to get his system running compared to what Mike Brown had instilled into this offense. So, and defense and rotation. So it probably might help us a lot because this team is so much different than what it was coming into this year. Just all the pieces traded, new coach as well, and we're honestly still in this playoff hunt.
Yeah, you are. I mean, I don't see right now the Kings as a playoff team, but the way the West is this year, absolutely. It's gonna be. Here's the playoff picture where I know I put it in here. Where we at? Here we go. Here's the playoff picture right here for everybody. Look, you can be a game out of the play-in and 3 games out of the 7 seed. It's going to be that way. And so the Kings have to handle their business, especially when they play Eastern Conference teams. You can't lose to the Eastern Conference teams.
I think anything up to the 6th seed is up for grabs for us.
The schedule. The schedule is brutal. Your longest home stretch at home. Ryan, home stretch at home. Your longest home stretch is Murderers Row. Like you have a back-to-back. I think it is Milwaukee and Boston. No, it's Milwaukee. It's Boston and OKC. And then the game before that, it's Milwaukee. So you have those 3 teams in 4 nights.
Yeah, again, that's going to be a problem down the stretch. More than half the season already played. But like I said, I don't see anything more than that. I don't see anything above 6 unless the team just completely falls apart. Like maybe the Lakers fall apart because they're no defense with Luka and LeBron out there.
Yeah.
Barring that, I don't see anything more than that 6th seed. And then I think, again, floor-wise, we're probably going to be right there with Phoenix, Golden State. I don't see Portland catching. Maybe San Antonio gels they might catch, but I really think we're going to be in this that little box right there, that 7 to 10 box.
Yep, I agree with you. I agree. The King, you know what? At this point, you'll take it. With everything that's happened this season, you'll take it. Now, you wouldn't have taken it at the start of the season, but I think most of us can agree the Kings are very lucky to have had a quote-unquote reset button after the Mike Brown firing. I think that not a lot of people saw that coming. So that's where we're at. We'll see what happens. As John Finch says, that's why we play him. So, Corn Dog, appreciate you, brother.
All right, man. Go Kings.
Go Kings. Yes, indeed. We're getting started, getting the voice warmed up here on a Monday, game day Monday for the Kings. What are we going to do with ourselves after this 3-game stretch in 4 nights that begins tonight? It's then the All-Star break for this team. Good point by Ian, talking about also being tied with some other teams, the Kings down below. Now you do have the tiebreaker with the Warriors. That is positive. Jimmy Butler had a really first good game in Golden State. Will it continue? We'll see. Steph Curry talking about how different those two are. Completely agree with that, but sometimes that's why opposites attract. Again, a ton to talk about. We have not even recapped the New Orleans game, which we will get to here in a little bit. We've got audio from a ton of guys. Almost everybody talked to the media. And I will share the best thing that I saw this weekend, and it did not involve the Super Bowl. So you can take your guesses at what that might have been. Dick Vitale returns to the booth. Was that it? We'll see. I'll share it here in a little bit. Going to be a fun show leading you up. We will make sure that you are ready for the Kings and the Mavs tonight. Oh boy, you just do this and the guy appears.
Say his name and he appears.
Haunted Horse. At least he's not in what was it last time? I don't want to call it a wife beater. A tank top?
Well, this is a tank top, isn't it?
Yeah, but yours was like lower cut.
Oh yeah.
I was half expecting.
I work out on Mondays and Fridays, so
yeah.
I'm not here to talk the Kings. I'm sorry, Kings fans. I did see a comment in the chat though. Ian says, I think we're seeing Portland at their ceiling right now, riding their hot streak. I don't see them keeping up. Being a young team, they're going to get hot. They're going to get cold. But you know what? It would not surprise me if they made the playing game, that 10-9 slot, whatever. So looking at the other teams. So, but they're not going to do anything this year. They're a young team that needs to gel a little more. So, but I'm happy with the progress.
Did you
What?
say the play-in? You think
Yeah.
Portland will make the play-in?
Hey, they're only 3 or 4 games out. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but at one time we were only 3 games behind you until you beat New Orleans.
Well, Portland actually has the best record against Western Conference teams above 500 this season.
I did not know that.
It's kind of goofy.
They're streaky, and that's what young teams do, right? They get streaky, they get hot. They're playing the Nuggets tonight, I believe, so I don't expect them to win that. But, they're only 1 or 2 games out of that 10th spot, so we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
No doubt.
I mean, San Antonio can leap them if with the Fox edition. But anyway, I wanted to talk about. You said that you think. I don't think you said you think Mahomes can catch Brady. You said something like he can catch Brady or what. I don't see that happening.
He's going to be in the conversation.
Yeah, I don't see him catching Brady, though. And here's why. You should see him show up to training camp this year. He had a dad bod. He had a little boiler going.
Dude, he's always had that, brother.
Yeah, no. It was worse this time. I think they're having kids, and I think Brady would have never shown up that way. Brady had his treat for the month or whatever was like a little bowl of avocado ice cream. He had personal trainers and cooks, and he was regimented, and that's the way you have to be to play that position as long as he did. I don't see Mahomes, unless he gets in that routine, staying that way. I think there's only one Brady. Even Joe Montana was not like super regimented on his fitness routine and his diet and everything else. So I just don't see players having the longevity that Brady did. And then you've got to be lucky enough to have the team around you be as good, right? Without the salary cap issues. And you got to say, Bill Belichick reinvented that team when they didn't have the pieces. When they didn't have the wide receiver depth, he went to 2 tight ends. Aaron Hernandez, unfortunately, was a mess. But when Aaron Hernandez, before he went off the cliff, and they had Gronk, you had those 2 tight ends that were working as your wide receiver core. And then, maybe a deep threat. I forget. Hernandez wasn't really there when Moss was there, right? I think he was already.
No, he was still in college. He was
So they,
Miami.
but Belichick would reinvent the team based on the personnel he could get. So, and then Brady took less money. I think Mahomes has done that. Anyway, I just think that Brady's going to be an outlier. I don't see anyone catching him.
Okay, I got to talk about Brady really quick. I did not have a problem with him yesterday. In fact, give me Brady over Romo every day of the week. I'm here for Brady over Romo. Now,
100%.
I still think Greg Olson's better than both of them.
Right.
But here's what didn't, you know what?
That don't make no sense.
I was getting so frustrated last night with Tom Brady. How many times did he bring up his roast during the Super Bowl coverage? Okay.
Right.
You want to bring up your roast? Cool, right? But not after you cause a stink about, you have this roast where you're going to get paid a ton of money. You know what's inevitably going to come up. If you didn't set boundaries, that's on you, right? And then you come up afterwards, like 3-4 weeks later, after you get the money, after it goes off, and well, I didn't think about how it would affect my kids, and this has been so negative. And what does he do on the biggest effing sports stage of the world? He references his roast.
That don't make no sense.
Like 4 times, bro. What do you think people that didn't know about that are going to go do? They're going to go run to find the roast. And now guess what? Your kids are going to go through it again. So, Tom, which side of the fence is it, my man? You can't have it both ways.
I've got a take on it. So I see it a little differently. He had the roast, and then he came out and he was all butthurt and said it was a bad idea and it was horrible. And he took a lot of heat. Like, what did you think a roast was, dummy? Right? So he took a lot of heat for coming out after and saying, his kids and whatever, because it looked like he was dumb. Like, why did you do it? What do you think it was going to be? So I thought he used last night as an opportunity to kind of poke fun at himself, saying, you know what, that 4 weeks, 5 weeks after when I was saying all that stuff, I was an idiot. And so I'm gonna make fun of myself and bring it up and not try to bury it and hide it anymore and say, yeah. That's what I thought. I thought he was trying to fix what he did after the roast when he was backpedaling so much. I think he was trying to fix that because he came off bad. I mean, everyone was roasting, pardon the expression, roasting him for being like that afterwards. When anybody that knows anything about any roast knows you're going to have a lot of off-color jokes all the way back to the Dean Martin roast. There were race-based jokes. There were different time, different era, but you know that going in. You don't do one if you're worried about what your kids are going to think, or you're going to have ex-wife jokes. You're going to have everything in your past. You're going to have jokes about it. So anyway.
Michael Shea and Colin Yost are the only two that are allowed to joke around about race and get away with it.
Right.
Do it tactfully.
Back in the day, anybody can do it. You know, you had John Wayne and Sammy Davis Jr. and all the top comedians at the time, George Burns and all those, and Frank Sinatra, and it was very racist by today's standards.
All right, I'm going to put this name on the screen. I don't usually do it. I'm going to give a disclaimer. If you are watching the replay or you're watching now with your child, maybe just turn your head for 2 seconds. But it is a good point. Brady and Mahomes never got blown out in the Super Bowl. Hurts their legacy. Does it hurt their legacy? I don't know.
Montana was my favorite stat for Montana. 4 Super Bowls, 4 wins. But the wins are a team effort, right? You got to have a good team to win. But my favorite stat is 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. 0 interceptions in 4 Super Bowls will never be done again. 0 interceptions in 1 Super Bowl is stunning. But 4, you are playing against the best team in the AFC, and to have 0 interceptions, that is genius. That is throwing the ball when you can get it in there. Last night, Mahomes was just tossing it.
He's under pressure. They didn't even blitz. That's
that one where he was on his own 6 and he threw it.
Yeah.
Not the pick 6, but the one with only a minute and like 50 seconds left, and he throws it right. I mean, how do you not see that guy's there? Now, Patrick Mahomes not the tallest guy in the NFL, but how do you not know that guy's there? He's dead center. I mean, anyway.
What's up with that? Hey, Bonnie.
It's a complete crap.
He's kind of
I love this.
He's kind of a made man around here. He's kind of a made man around here. So
Baney.
I gotta
love you too, Baney.
I gotta
unintelligent.
So, anyways, hey, you know what? Because we put C Dom Dog up, we'll put also Grande Pelotas from Dodge up. Dallas. Yeah, we'll see. We will see. Really quick, tell them about the bet that you made and that you won. Quickly.
So I'll recap my anyone wants to hit me on DMs, I can go into, but I made 43 bets yesterday on that game. 43 bets. Now,
a lot of them are 43 bets.
A lot of them are 50 cents and $1. They're really big long shots. But the ones I spent $60 in bets. $60 in bets. I cleared.
There are some folks who are celebrating and others who are saying, you gotta be kidding me.
So I bet $60, but I won $215. So the big one you're talking about, the one I texted you, was a free bet. I made a bet, $10 bet, and then you get a free $10 bet. It's a promotion. So the $10 bet I made, I won, and that was Xavier Worthy touchdown. $10 paid $25.50. But the free bet, I went long on it, and I bet it went off at plus 1,300. Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, not passing. It's got to be, he's got to run it in or receive it. So that's where the key to that is. Jalen Hurts, anytime rushing or receiving touchdown. Xavier Worthy, anytime touchdown. And A.J. Brown, anytime touchdown. That free $10 bet paid $130. So that put me well into the black for the rest of the night. I wasn't sweating it. Then it was just a matter of how much I was going to clear. So anyway.
And Haunted Horse brought to you by 1-800-GAMBLER. If you have a gambling issue, 1-800-GAMBLER.
Call today and I'll give you my bet of the year. Kings.
Help,
who are they playing?
Help
Kings.
is out there for you.
Mavericks.
You are not alone.
Alrighty then.
Holy
All right.
crap, man.
I got to get the uneducated, whatever I am, off the air because, you know, that guy, I don't want Baney to leave. So
43 bets.
Yeah.
Only you.
But a lot of them 50 cents, $1. But yeah, I made $60 worth of bets. That's 43.
Did you do
and I won 5, by the way. I won 5.
All right. There you go. Good job. Haunted Horse. Appreciate you, brother.
Later, everyone. Bye.
You can go check him out at HollywoodRejects.com. I think he's got a show running later tonight. 43 bets? I mean, that's a lot of time. 43 bets. The sports book's probably like... Come here. Get out. Like, what are you doing? 43 bets at 50 cents a pop. Holy crap. Oh, my goodness. You know, I have ignored the chat. Let's hit it really quick, and then we're going to talk some Kings. We've been talking a little bit more football. Super Bowl game was over when we saw Mahomes playing like that quarterback on Necessary Roughness. Yeah, he did not look right. Kind of looked like Dylan Raiola from Nebraska stood in for Patrick last night. They just, you know what? I can't imagine how difficult it is. You'd think it'd be really easy, but when you've won 2 championships in a row and you've played that deep into the season 2 years in a row, and you've been to the AFC title time, 7 or 8 times in a row, I've got to think it's not... this sounds crazy, but I've got to think it's probably almost impossible to like get up to that excitement that you were at the first time you were in the Super Bowl and won it. Like, that's got to be a tough thing. And I get there's advantages on the back end of it. You've got the experience. You should be calmer. They just looked like they were outclassed yesterday. Outclassed. And by the way, if you bet the under, you had to be pissed that the Chiefs started going off there in the second half, especially when the Eagles started pulling some guys out. Yeah, it was a complete crap, as Darko says. Darko says it better than any of us.
It's a complete crap.
As a Raiders fan, I relished in Mahomes getting sacked and throwing INTs. Hey, he's human. He is human. Yes, I know. Yeah, Yev, it's not a lot of money. It's just that it's 43 different bets. I mean, I guess, what's it called when you cover yourself on the back end? I forget. I don't know the gambling terms. But 43 bets. $60, not even 50 cents a bet. You know what? I give him respect. He has a system and he goes with it. So whatever works for him. Rhino doesn't have 43 seconds to set his fantasy lineups. No, I do not. That is why I was near the bottom of the league this year. There is no doubt about that. Ian Haunted Horse is where gambling addicts go to get help to gamble better. Well done.
That's terrible.
Well freaking done. Wow, dude. The most gambling I do in Texas is Hold'em, and that's just a $30 buy-in, Donald says. I love Hold'em. I love Hold'em. The hour's over, Progressive. Your Kings are coming. I can promise you that. Al, terrible pick when the Chiefs were backed up. Game over. That's true. By the way, as I look for my phone, our guy Peter Anderson sent me a text message today, and our Pick'em League, we have the final 10. This is how the 10 shook out for the season. I'm going to go from 10 to 1. Number 10 in our Pick'em League. Congratulations to Ray Guy's Hot Punts. Good job by you. 151 in 130. Latvia, 151 in 130 as well. You guys must have had a tiebreaker. How about this? Napes came in 8th. How about that? 152 and 129. 7 picks are usually lame. That's Paul. He comes in 7th, 152 and 129. Had a tiebreak over Napes. Vicky's a fan, comes in 6th, 153 and 128. I'd still rather be fishing. Comes in 5th. 4th, KG is a winner. 4th place. 3rd place, JJ's picks. That better not be my JJ, one of my friends that lives in the Midwest. I'll double check that. Number 2, drum roll, please. Light it up. So our winner this year, Maximus 209, wins the Pick'em League. A couple of $200 or a couple of $100 gift cards coming your way, Maximus 209. If you watch the show, hit me up on X. If not, I'm going to have to track you down. So that is how it shook out. So happy to have everybody here. We're getting you ready for the Kings and the Mavs tonight. We've got our normal schedule, halftime, post game as well. That's coming up at 5:30. Tip off for the Kings and the Mavs. We are going to recap the Kings and the Pels as well. The Kings come through in the second half on the back of 18. Count them. 18 free throws in the third quarter. This city is already bubbling at this Keon Ellis conversation. I get it. We'll have it. We're going to talk about it here. Also, no Devin Carter in that one. We can talk about that as well. And what about Zach LaRavia? Pleasantly surprised by Zach. Now, I'm not saying, or excuse me, Jake. I just mixed Zach Levine and Jake. Pleasantly surprised by Jake and what he did. Jake single-handedly gave that team energy. That team had nothing. And what worries me is the style of basketball the starters are playing. Malik has not had a very good 4-game stretch. Has not. Can't ignore that either. So can the Kings get back on track tonight in Dallas? We will see. Let's hear from Doug Christie after the game. He was not happy with the effort at first, and really important to him about making sure you use the home court advantage. It's Coach Christie.
So the start of the game, not really what we wanted. We have to figure out how to start a little bit closer to what we did in the third quarter. But the bench came in and gave us a huge boost. And part of it is just finding our way. And part of it is like learning how to play together at that high level without constantly digging a hole. And to these guys' credit, they continue to show fight, and we've won a bunch of these games, but it is not, we can't live off a steady diet of that. And I think that they understand that, but understanding it and finding a way to make sure that we have better starts is imperative. It's not even a negotiable. Happy with the 41 threes. That's a good number. 24 assists. We need to get that closer to 30. All in all, some good performances, but not satisfied. Yeah.
At one point during the first quarter, the Kings missed 7 field goals in a row. 7 field goals. They come out, make their first 3 baskets, and then 7 missed field goals. It was shoving iso ball down your throat to begin the game, especially in that middle stretch. Now, what sparked the team was Keon Ellis, but before that was Jake LaRavia, probably the most memorable 1-minute debut in Sacramento Kings history. 5 points, banks in a 3. That was incredible. Tell you a little bit about his nerves that were going there, but also got a steal and a block in that 1 minute span. Now, the rest of the game, his impact was felt, but it wasn't felt on the scoreboard per se in terms of points. One thing that the Kings did very well in the second half, super well in the second half, was hustling. They were getting to the 50-50 balls. And in fact, not just hustling put them ahead, but hustling is what kept their runs going. It maintained the lead. You had Laravia that is doing what Keegan Murray does, volleyballing balls that are going out of bounds, just tipping them out, giving you a chance for a second opportunity. So I really liked seeing that. Now, what I didn't like seeing was the drop-off again in the fourth quarter, and that drop-off happened when Keon Ellis left the floor. Coach went back to Keon. He's going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. We will break up his comments because they're a few minutes long, but here's Coach Christie again.
Pregame about it's a good problem to have, to find minutes for everybody. You were making sure to incorporate Keon there at the end at times for Malik, at one point for DeRozan as well. Can you talk about that decision of when to implement him and the tough decision of who to take out?
Yeah, it's a tough decision, and they were being tough on me, which is like, I love their competitive spirit. And when I took Debo out, I was just like, just give me one possession, put Malik in, and then got Debo right back in when they called a timeout. He comes out and hits a bucket. Like, he's one of our closers. Especially on the offensive end, we have to have him in the game, but we have to figure out how to make sure that we are getting stops and rebounding the basketball. Because the most important thing is we win the game, and they all want to win the game. But you are correct; like it's a good problem to have. It's one that I will relish, and from time to time they will get upset with me, and I understand that. I love them all, but I love winning most. Yeah.
Coach DC, that 45 points in that third quarter was definitely significant, but Kings did have 19 rebounds, 3 steals, a couple block shots. You talk about the defense side of that third quarter.
Yeah, the ability to have active hands, be physical, make them feel us, touch the man, touch the ball, have a presence about yourself, and a resilience that just does not want them to do anything remotely close to how they started the game. Like it's the only way. Like if that's what we do for a whole game, the starters are probably sitting down in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden guys are getting a chance to run that maybe don't always and find their rhythm. That's what we want. But when you start the game the way that we did, it's not good. It's just not good, and we have to be better. But that third quarter, I think, showed it's like, your kid, once they show you that they can make their bed and clean their room, it's like, oh, you showed me. You messed up now. Okay, so I'm going to need that. And that's what I pretty much said to him. It's like, that's great. You showed me that it's possible. Now we need to make it consistent.
It's got to be consistent, and it is not. This team is not going to win games unless they play the way they played in the third quarter. It has to be chaotic. It has to be up speed. It has to be tempo based. And I don't know that you can, and we're going to get to this. I see a lot of questions in the chat. I'll answer that in a second. DSC, this is the big question going right here. We're going to get to this in a little bit as well. We'll talk about the 10-day contract, the signing as well. First, let's go to the phones. And we go to welcome into the King's Court. What's going on?
Reno.
What's up?
Hey, how you guys doing, man? Just wanted to chime in on some things. I've been having trouble with the stream. I don't know if it's other people as well, but I wanted to say, man, Jake LaRavia brought in that energy against the Pelicans when we were down in the first quarter. I'd like all of our guards to play with that energy. I know Malik always comes with that energy, but just our perimeter players, man, even like DeMar and Levine, they've got to be active with their hands. You know, when he came in, he got an instant steal, instant block. You know, when you know, I remember sitting on the bench when a guy is going off, you want to go in there and shut his water off, and that's exactly what he came in there for. He didn't play no games. He went exactly to what's his name, the guard there, McCollum, and blocked his shot right away. You know, get in their chest. I like that about him. I think going forward, we got to play with that intensity. I think the calling on this team has got to be on defense. You know, acquiring Valanciunas. You know how Zion Williamson scored 40 on us with Valanciunas on our team. He should not be doing that. You know, I want to see Doug Christie go to the big man game, maybe 2 bigs in the game earlier. You know, and shut his water off. I know that day Sabonis was in foul trouble against the Pelicans, but I think if we put in our bigs earlier and some of our bench guys like LaRavia, they've got some fouls to waste. What do you think, Rhino? Like, you know, stop some easy buckets there, you know, in the paint, and obviously on the perimeter as well with Jake.
Yeah, I think the Zion example is difficult because short of putting Keegan Murray on Zion, which isn't really going to work, Zion starts a lot of his game from the perimeter, so it's a tough ask for Sabonis. It would be a harder ask for Valanciunas. I think as we get closer to you know, the end of the season, we get closer to playoff time, you're going to see more teams go to those double big lineups. And at least with a Sabonis Valanciunas lineup, at times you can keep Valley under the hoop. So he's not going to be a shot blocker per se, but he's going to use his fouls, which is fine. He gets his money's worth on his fouls as well.
For sure.
But that way you've got one big under, you've got Sabonis kind of floating around on the perimeter that he's okay. He's not great at moving his feet, but quite frankly, he's not any worse than some of the guards on this team. So depending on who the matchup is, yeah, Doug's going to have to do that at times. And I think you're capable of doing that now. When you go to that lineup, you can slide Keegan to the 3. If you need LaRavia in, he can play the 3 as well. That was a big surprise for me. I did not think Jake LaRavia was going to be able to play, and maybe it was a one-night thing. We need more than a one-game sample size, but I didn't think he was going to be able to get at it on the perimeter the way he did. So that's going to be a pleasant surprise if the Kings can keep doing that. But the intensity, the defense, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be like we're sitting here saying defense, and I know everybody's like, the Kings are a terrible defensive team. You can be a bad defensive team, but you could also be very good at being pesky and annoying.
Yeah.
And when you're pesky and annoying, it breaks things up. It gives you the opportunity for turnovers. It gives teams short shot clocks to work with. And that's where it becomes securing the rebound gets really, really important. And so Doug's going to have to figure that out. So I think there's something to it.
Yeah, I like Keon and Jake. You know, if there is somebody killing us on the perimeter, I like one of those 2 guys, you know, to go at them or even, you know, go ahead and do the the traps a little bit earlier in the game, so the guy doesn't end up with 30, 40 points against us, you know? Because honestly, I know you are too, right now. I'm tired of McCollum, Simons, and, you know, when Damian used to be here, like, I'm tired of those guards, smaller guards, even cooking us, just getting to their spots and knocking shots down, you know? But like you said, Jake, he brought in that intensity, and it kind of reminded me, man, not so much offensively when the first time Jay Will came in the game, man, that type of an excitement, you know, it kind of brought you up off your seat because we really had nothing going that game. And as far as for today's game, for the Mavs, I think like we're talking about, the perimeter guys really have to step up. I wouldn't be surprised if Keon gets a lot of minutes because, you know, they got Kyrie, and if Jake gets a lot of minutes. I wanted to chime in a little bit on the Super Bowl as well, Rhino. I think it was a great halftime show, first. And second, the game was okay. But I'm a Raiders fan, so, hey, I wasn't mad at the Eagles winning it, and I think Saquon Barkley deserves it, after being treated like that by the Giants. And so, yeah, I hope we get the win today. I know a lot of other people are wondering as well. What do you think about the signing of the guard Knicks?
I'm so confused.
I'm forgetting it.
I'm so confused by it.
Do you think he has some ball handling skills, or do you think he's just another shooter off of the bench?
He's closer to a scorer 2 guard than he is a point guard, especially if you look at what he's done in the G League. I don't understand it, quite frankly. I don't. I would love to ask Monty, ask somebody that was around that signing, why him? I don't get it. Quite frankly,
hey, man.
I don't. So we'll see.
Okay. I mean, I guess the guy is a good 3-point shooter, so hopefully he helps with that.
For sure.
Other than that, do you see any other guards on that you maybe kept an eye on, or do you think this will be like final roster going into the second half of the season?
I think they're waiting for probably the bigger names to shake out, like Ben Simmons. Now he's going to the Clippers, assuming he clears waivers. I think they're waiting for some of that stuff to drop, and then they'll probably look a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, see, yeah, like a team like the Clippers picking up Ben Simmons tells you a lot, because they've got scores all around. They don't need him to score. And I wanted to make that point because some of our callers are like, oh, Ben Simmons doesn't have an offensive bag, or no, we don't want him. He can't shoot. Our team can't shoot. Well, honestly, he sets guys up a lot, and he could play that point guard position. And obviously on the defensive end, he could help you down low. So I think that's a great pickup for them.
Agree. Appreciate you, GP.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Have a good one. Light the beam.
Light the beam. All right. Let's talk about Deshaun Nix really quick. He's a 6'4" guard. He's a shooting guard. He's played for Minnesota, spent some time with the G League Ignite. Like GP said, can shoot the 3. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. You need a point guard. It ain't him. You don't need somebody that's been between the G League and the NBA. Like, you need an NBA point guard. I get that you're not going to have a Josh Hart. You're not going to have a TJ McConnell. You're not going to have some of those names that we think of. Kobe White. They're on teams. There's only a handful of them. But there's other point guards available. Like, it's so over my head right now. In fact, there's an argument to be made. There's a strong argument that I could make to all of you right now that every single member of this Kings team that is in the rotation and that is considered a core piece, they're all playing out of position. Every last one of them. And it's just, look, Knicks might pan out. Likely he won't. It's a 10-day contract, but let's say the Kings keep him. Sign him to a second 10-day contract. At that point, if you want to keep him, you got to sign him for the rest of the year. I don't know what Monty, and I don't know what the coaching staff is looking at right now. I don't. And again, nothing against this young man. Nothing against him. Maybe he can blow us all away and play point guard, but you don't need a scoring first point guard. You need a facilitator. You need a ball handler. You need somebody to take the ball out of Domas' hands, bringing it up, to take it out of Keon's hands, bringing it up, to take it out of Domas' hands, bringing it up. You need somebody that can fill that role. And right now, your only options are these in-between guards and Mason Jones. Those are your options right now. The Kings are acknowledging there's an issue at that position. Devin Carter didn't play last game. So it's just really beyond me. I don't know what to make of it. That's why I didn't really want to talk about it, to be quite honest. I had a conversation with somebody in the know yesterday, and it was the same thing. It's like, huh. And even more so, why him? I get that you got to find the diamonds in the rough. You've got to get guys on the rise rather than the fall. But when your team needs a point guard, it's almost like at the point where I'm like wondering, is it part of the scheme of this team and part of the culture that they don't think point guards are important to the style of basketball that they want to play? Like, I'm just really having a hard time wrapping my arms around this one. And again, not knocking this young man whatsoever. I am strictly talking about the fit. The Kings are getting pushed out of their offense, which I'm using the word offense very loosely here because I don't really know what their offense is right now. They haven't had practice time. I do know this. They went away from the dribble handoff before they traded Fox, and they moved more to offense centered around pick and roll. But these guys a lot of times aren't even getting the pick and roll correct. If you were with us for the post-game show, I brought this up. These are images from last game. And so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I'm going to show you one more time. This over here on the right side, this was in the third quarter. That's Valanciunas and Levine. That is a perfect example of a pick and roll right there. They are shoulder to shoulder. And look at all of this space now. Look at all this space that the Kings have to operate with. You've got your other guys here on the strong side. To the left, you have the last illegal screen that was called on Sabonis. Look at how much space here is between Levine and Sabonis. Anytime you run a pick and roll and you are not coming off the shoulder, if you're declining the screen, that's one thing. You can decline the screen. That's like maybe a 1 in 10 play if you're the guard with the ball. Just like the big man can slip the screen, which means he acts like he's going to set the screen. And so the defender is waiting for it. They're getting set to be screened. And instead of screening them, the big man runs straight to the hoop. That's called slipping a screen. Again, maybe like a 1 in 10 play. So outside of those two scenarios, you need to be shoulder to shoulder running a pick and roll. Period. End of story. Now, that's going to come with playing time. That is definitely going to come with practice time when these guys learn each other more. Levine's talked about the nuances between playing the two-man game with Valanciunas versus Sabonis, and he's correct. But regardless of whether it's Valanciunas or Sabonis, there's one thing that doesn't change about it, and it's being shoulder to freaking shoulder on these pick and rolls. Because the other thing that happens, besides setting your big man up to get an offensive foul, because if your big man moves in the slightest, which more times than not, they're going to kind of lean their hip out. They might shuffle a little bit closer to you to try to give you an advantage because you never know what the refs are going to let you get away with. But because there's so much space in between the ball and the big man setting the screen, you can see everything to a T if you're an official. When you're shoulder to shoulder like these two are right here, look at this official that's at the bottom of the screen right here. Look at his line of sight. You can't see what Valanciunas is doing on that backside. Now, the official that's at the top, he can see. But a lot of times you'll get the illegal screen from the official that's right here at the bottom. So that's an important thing. The other important thing is if you're not shoulder to shoulder, it's much easier to defend. So those are the pictures. And the reason I'm showing the pictures again are this. I really started thinking, I'm like, dude, Sabonis doesn't really foul out that much. And man, he has fouled out a ton this season. Domas Sabonis has fouled out 10 times in his career. Any guesses on how many times he's fouled out this season? 6 times. Let me repeat that. 6 of Sabonis's 10 career foul outs have occurred this season. And it's because they're running the pick and roll game. Now, I will say there's a little bit of it too that is on the defensive end where guards are not guarding on the perimeter and Sabonis is put into a difficult position on stepping up and whether to take a charge, whether to try to go vertical, whether to try to block the shot, etc. And then he's had some bad plays too. Sabonis is going to have those. But the majority of his fouls as of late have come on screens like that. So that has to get worked on. Has to get worked on. Kamikaze MMO, you have DeMar and Levine, and why are you talking the Lakers have not defense with LeBron and Luka? What? You have DeMar and Levine, and you're talking the Lakers not okay. Usually I'm able to decode those things. I don't think I'm decoding that one. I think I have an idea of where you were going with that, about how bad the defense is in LA. LeBron's not that bad of a defender. LeBron's actually a really good defender, especially for his age. So I'm not going to get on him about that. Keon, where's Keon at? Keon, can you get us back on track, buddy? Get us back on track. Thank you, Keon.
Where we at?
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
A point guard can handle and get the ball in the right hands without turnovers is invaluable. The Kings have been turning the ball over a lot. That first half against New Orleans, both teams, hideous, terrible first half. Levine, a fault on his left and has been close. I don't know. How many moving screens has Bonus got called for last time? Half of the time is on Levine also. Well, again, gonna come with practice time. It's gonna come with practice time. I get it. That's why they need to get to the break. In fact, okay, by the way, I will do my best to bleep this out, but we're going to listen to Malik Monk's comments after the game. Then we're going to get back to some of your chats. He drops an F-bomb in here. So I'm going to try to get ahead of it. But if I can't get ahead of it, I want to give you a heads up in case you are watching with somebody younger, whether you do not like cursing. The reason that it's in there is because I kind of think it's important, not the cuss word, but what he's talking about that spurs him to cuss a little bit. Here was Malik Monk after the Pelicans game.
Pull this one out against a team that just kind of had your number over the past season.
Oh, yeah. Big win, man, especially at home. Finally get one with the new guys. The crowd was in and everybody was in, so it was great to get this.
What was not working in that first few minutes of this game, maybe that first quarter?
We just weren't moving the ball. We were stagnant. Just thinking too much. One pass, shot, things like that. Then DC told us we knew we had to turn it around. They were getting too many easy looks on the defensive end. I think that's why our defense was stalled. I mean, our offense was stalled. So we turned it around.
You guys got things rolling really quickly to erase it.
Second unit. Big up to the second unit. Jake, first round, made a huge impact. JG, Keon, do what he's doing. So yeah, it was the second unit came in and changed it for us.
When you guys think about success going forward, what has to kind of be the things that cleaned up the most for you guys to have success?
Defense, man. Not giving up offensive rebounds, getting all the loose balls, all the little things on the defensive end, boxing out. If we do all those things, we'll have a chance to win.
When Domas gets that fourth foul, the game there up by one or two, and you feel down either way. You guys just find a way, maybe a stretch. One of the best stretches of the night really took control. Hey, what happened during that stretch? And again, how impressed were you, or how nice was it to see from you guys? Because fourth quarter has not always been that nice.
Yeah. We just came together as a team. We knew we had to protect Domas outside of the lane because when they drive in there, that's when he get his fouls. When we being a little lazy. So yeah, we just had to lock in and come together as a team. And yeah, I was happy, super happy that happened. Especially like I said, at home, in front of the crowd, in front of the fans. So
Does something like that stick with you to where, like, down the road, as we're getting to crunch time to play, you can not say, "Oh, remember what we did here."
No,
you
yeah,
just
you say
have
member.
that inner
No, yeah.
confidence.
Say member because that's the way we was playing. So we seen we could do it. So we got to do it a little bit more often now.
You know, Zach obviously is a talent in this league, but now that you're a teammate, is there anything that kind of sticks out since he's been here that you may have
Yeah, that motherfucker ain't hitting no threes like he do with everybody else.
Right.
God damn.
So about being the king.
I don't know what it is. This shit broke right now. I'm just saying. He gonna start hitting them though. He gonna start hitting them. He's got to get a few games under his belt. But yeah, it's always good to have another go-getter out there. Another electronic scorer. And yeah, just another offensive threat.
Yeah, and lastly for me, sorry, just you guys are hitting the road and you got All-Star break. During that break, you guys get back. How crucial is that? Maybe a few stretch for you guys to kind of learn one another and get things rolling.
These 3 games is crucial. I feel like that's when we're gonna learn each other because we get the break. Then when we come back, gotta get it rolling.
Appreciate you.
Malik Monk after the game, I tried to block it out as much as I could to be cognizant of some of our younger viewers. A lot of gems there from Malik. Now, some good one-liners, obviously, and I'm not talking just about the cursing, but he's right. These next 3 games, he said a lot that was spot on about what's important. The energy is out there, and I think what for me is going to be partially a crossroads for this team is going to be what Doug Christie does with this rotation. We have no idea what he's going to do. We're talking about possibilities. There was somebody on X that was looking up a bunch of the 5-man rotations, like I had been looking up, and pointed out that the 5-man grouping, including Ellis, right now is through the roof, and there's only a 48-minute sample size of that. So you've got to wait and hold off on it. It's not quite what it was at when we were looking at it before the Fox trade, and it's a different grouping now because Fox is gone. And I believe he had Levine. No, it wasn't Levine in there. He had Levine out of it. So it's the little things like that. How is Doug going to find which combinations fit the best together on the court that are going to produce the results, that's going to produce the chaos, that's going to allow you to pressure, get up? Because through that first quarter of basketball, there was 0 pressure on the Pelicans. The Pelicans were stepping into threes. They shot 50% in the first quarter from beyond the 3-point line. We talked about Jake coming in. Jake really, again, impressed me about getting out and denying and defending. Denying and defending on the perimeter was something that we saw during that 4-game stretch that the Kings played without De'Aaron Fox while he was still on the roster here. But I understand why the Kings cannot do that in certain spots because of the back end personnel that you have. You can't ask DeMar DeRozan to cover the middle ground that De'Aaron Fox used to be able to cover. You can sometimes ask Trey Lyles as the big man to do that. Sabonis, not really that guy, but could LaRavia be that guy? Absolutely. And then the whole Keon conversation. Where does Keon fit into all this? I get that Keon Ellis, I completely get that he will probably be on the court at the end of the game, and that matters more than starting. I know Katie went on to a big rant. It doesn't matter who starts. It matters who plays the most minutes. It matters this. Well, I'm here to tell you this year with your Kings, it does matter who starts. And it's not because of a recognition thing. It's not because I get to say I'm a starter, a gooba goo. None of that. It is strictly from the get. The Kings have to be able to be pushing people back and not letting people come towards them. They have got to put pressure on teams from the opening jump, because there is something to it when we say, or people say, guys get comfortable. Guys that are not necessarily deemed as a big offensive threat on the game plan, they get comfortable. And that makes it that much harder to guard that team going forward if they have it going. Now, the part that has really been confusing for me, that I am still trying to work out, and I've watched every single game back since the trade, the defensive principles, they have not changed much, but something has changed back to, I don't want to say the Mike Brown times, because we're not that far removed from them. But let me illustrate my point for you really quick. It was maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago when the Kings were going through their winning streak. And I'm like, holy crap, y'all. You remember the days of me telling you that the Kings are the second worst three-point defending team in the league? Well, now they're down to 22. 22 isn't great, but it's not 29. The Kings are all the way back to 29 now. A little bit of solace here. Attempts still at 21. At one point during that stretch, they got down to 19th. Still not great in the grand scheme of things, but much better than 30th in the NBA. But that 29th is bugging the hell out of me. And when I watch the film, it's not so much. And this is the point of clarification that I'm searching for. When I'm looking at the little things, what coach is calling out, the tiny conversations, when I'm talking to people around the team, is Coach Christie giving the guards the liberty to dig down or to go into the drop? And what I mean by dig down or go into the drop means they can leave their player on the perimeter. Now, not leave them far, but give them enough space to where you can also come down and kind of help on the big man that might have the ball in the post. Now, that would make total sense if you're playing Zion Williamson. That makes total sense if you are playing one of the best bigs, Joel Embiid, in the NBA. Where it does not make any sense is what we saw in Portland when they were doing it with DeAndre Ayton. And that's what got a bunch of those guys going on the perimeter. Henderson, Simons. The Simons one pissed me off more than any, because Simons had played so bad the first two meetings between the Kings and the Blazers this year. He was awful. There was no reason to give him a reason to get going. And the Kings still did. And it was because of those choices. So is this a Reed thing where it's on the players and they need to communicate? Because clearly this team needs to communicate better. Every team has room for improvement with communication, but this team in specific, or in them in particular, defensively, their communication has been poor. Now, you get them out in transition, watch the hell out. They are excellent in transition. And in fact, even with the new guys in transition, it's been seamless. It's been really good. But those transition times are coming few and far in between. Here's the other reason that I say it matters who starts the game. There really is a flow. There is a way to the madness that is the NBA whistle. When you're a team that comes out and plays really soft for 8 or 9 minutes, like the Kings did against New Orleans to begin the game, and then you start getting hammered and you decide you're going to be more physical, then you're going to not get the same calls that you would have gotten if you come right out of the gate and you're being that level of physical from the jump. And I don't think with the starting lineup as it sits right now, you can do it. And it's not a feeling thing. It's a nothing against DeMar or Zach. It is strictly a personnel issue. It is a defensive liability. Your scheme changes in terms of how you guard on the perimeter when DeMar DeRozan is on the court. Now, not necessarily a bad thing if it's maybe with the second unit. If you're playing against different personnel, maybe the other team's second team. But some of these other guys, some of these other more talented teams in the NBA, you got to have your best foot forward defensively. Because for me, that's what's going to change this Kings team. It's not like their scoring went through the freaking roof when they were winning games. Now, they had a couple of explosions, but it was their defense that was showing out. In fact, their defense during that stretch, I believe defensive rating was number 1 or number 2 during the stretch. It was the defense that made the difference. It was the defense that created offense. So I guess what I'm saying in a long-winded way is it matters who starts. It matters. And if we're going to open up the conversation to, well, should DeMar come off the bench? Should Zach LaVine come off the bench? Then we can open up that conversations and look at the pros and cons of it. But I don't see how Doug Christie, knowing how a basketball puzzle works when it comes to putting a team together, when Doug Christie looks at Keon Ellis, he has to be looking at himself to a degree. Now, Keon's not as good of a playmaker as Doug was, but Doug knows how important having that guy on the floor from the jump is. And so I don't know if it's loyalty, respect to DeMar or Zach, whatever it may be, but I am having a very hard time understanding how Doug is not understanding that Keon needs to be on the floor to start the game. And I'm not the only one. Jerry Reynolds is right there in that court with me. A lot of you are in that same court as well. So give me your feedback on that. We will continue talking about all of this and more as we get you ready for this Kings-Mavs game tonight. First of 3 in 4 nights. First of 3 in 4 nights. BG Rhino trying to get off work to be a first-time caller. If not today, for sure. Love to hear you, brother. Love to hear you. Deegan can generally defend 1 through 4. He can. Absolutely right. And it's a great point that you bring him up because you know who else can guard multiple positions right now? Keon Ellis, surprisingly. Keon Ellis. Mismatches are important. Definitely Paul hopping in. LaVine, Murray, and DeRozan are longer defenders. Yeah, DeRozan is longer, but he is not an on-ball defender. DeRozan is really limited to about, when it comes to defense, he shouldn't really be playing defense more than 15 feet away from the hoop. And I think the team kind of knows that as well. So you won't see DeMar out there denying the ball much like you'll see Keon do it, like you'll see Devin do it, like you saw Jake LaRabia do it. And I think that's kind of something that's hurting a little bit. No, Malik's got to be in the starting lineup. He's the closest thing that we have to a point guard right now. We all know what lineup works, but McNair keeps on adding those shooting guards with no defensive skills. I know. It's like the front office is resigned to, well, the only way we're going to win is if we outshoot teams. And tell me what evidence since the Beam team shows you that the Kings are going to outshoot and outscore other teams. It's not there. Let's see. DeMar has to get 17 or more. Also, people want to bring him off the bench. I am one of them at this point. Now, where it gets nuanced, where it gets difficult and it opens the door to this conversation, could that be the writing on the wall that Sacramento probably isn't the place that DeMar's going to want to be? And the answer to that question is absolutely yes. It could be. DeMar's kind of hinted at it a little bit. Look, it was Monk, Sabonis, and Fox that recruited me here. There's no way I'm playing 5 more years. He's not addressed it head on per se, but I would understand if DeMar DeRozan would take a stance that he did not come to the Sacramento Kings to be a 6th man on a team that's going to be fighting to get into a play-in. I don't think that's what DeMar was sold. I don't. And if you look at the contracts, it's probably easier to move DeMar DeRozan. I am not suggesting moving him, but I am saying if it came to a point where DeMar's like, this ain't for me, his contract is probably easier to move than Zach LaVine's. You're stuck with Zach for now. So I think Zach's got to be in the starting lineup. And then there's also the offensive aspect to that. And here's the other thing. We've gotten a ton of callers that have said, well, what about the attention that DeMar draws offensively? Teams are doubling him. They're not usually doing that until the second halves and fourth quarters, especially if he has it going. That's when you usually see the double. You don't see the double early on. And here's the great thing too. What if you could have DeMar more fresh for those moments? Mid third quarter where the Kings go into lulls. Mid fourth quarter, end of games. He could be fresher. DeMar's playing a lot of minutes right now. A ton of minutes. It just makes a lot of sense. And then you have a second unit that is, if you look at it, you've got DeMar DeRozan, Valanciunas, Trey Lyles, LaRavia, and then what are you going to do with the other guard? Who's going to get those minutes? That's where you need to have that point guard floating around. You got to have it. John Finch in the house. What's up? Combos matter. They don't matter as much as Monty McNair thinks they matter, though. The home improvement drop makes me laugh every time. You caught on to it. Nice. Let's see. It's right after he talks about the Levine impact. I know. I tried to hit it right on time. I tried to be on it. I just missed it. Just missed it a little bit. Donald hopping in. I think I know what he's saying. DeMar and Levine can outscore them, maybe. How do I put this? In theory, yes. In practice, no. Because there's the old like football sayings, by the way, where it's like the other team can know what play we're going to run, but we're just going to run it that well that they can't stop it, even when they know, right? The Kings are so stagnant right now on offense. They are so predictable on offense. You know what they're going to do. Unfortunately, DeMar is not at a stage in his career where he is good enough to be that explosively impactful. He's incredibly impactful, but not explosively impactful. He's done it at times this year. He's had a couple of dunks, but he's not going to fly by you anymore. You've seen a lot more of that fadeaway shot, which is fine. He's really good at that fadeaway. One thing I do not like is the toe on the line three. It seems to happen every single game. Worst shot in basketball. I wish he would just look down a little bit more. Sorry, DeMar. I'm not trying to get on you. I love you, brother. You're a great dude. But it's, the DeMar thing to me is amplified because of the bigger issues around the Kings. I don't think the Kings are doing DeMar DeRozan any favors, just like the Kings are not doing Keegan Murray any favors at times. Just like Kevin Huerter came out and said, the Kings, we're not doing me any favors in terms of what the Kings are running offensively, because they're not really running anything besides pick and roll, a couple of dribble handoffs. When they are running plays for pin downs or down screens to get LaVine open, and that's where Zach LaVine lives. That's where Zach LaVine thrives. It's slashing. It's coming off screens. We're not seeing enough of it. Instead, we're seeing, hey, Zach, here's the ball. Go make a play. He's talented enough to do it once in a while, but that's not his game. And I want to see the Kings. I want to see Doug Christie. I want to see the practices of this team embrace the strengths of its players and do what they do best, gear it towards making this team less predictable and more physical. That's what changes. That changes the deck in favor of the Kings. And when it lines up right, like it did in the third quarter, all those things happen. It's not like we're saying when the Kings have these quarters, by the way, we're not saying, oh man, the Kings just shot the leather off the basketball. The defense still sucked, but they shot the leather off the basketball. No. What we're saying is, holy crap, that was a dominating quarter of basketball. Like, I'm looking at the third quarter, 45-22. So it wasn't just one thing. It's everything came together. They got to the line 18 times in a quarter. 18 times. Guess what? What do you think they shot from beyond the arc in that quarter? They only shot 26%, 26.7%, and they still scored 45 points. You know why that is? Because they got out, they defended, and they got in transition. Second chance points that quarter, 14. They were active. Hustle was keeping balls alive. Fast break points, 11 in that quarter. You know how many the Pelicans had? 0. So there's a formula here, and I think we all just want to see it a little bit more consistently. I don't think we're asking for too much, are we? Are we? I do not think so. A lot of show left. We still got to talk about these Mavericks. Still talking about the Kings. Let's take a listen into Keon Ellis after the last game.
Oh, well, I mean, in the game of basketball, for sure it's great to have a guy like Domas, stable to our team out there for the end. But I mean, if he picks up a foul, it's the next guy up. That's kind of our job. So for us to finish that one out when he goes out, that's big. Because there's going to be nights like that where guys go out or foul trouble or whatever the case is. So we just have to pull together and try to finish the game out.
Especially as we're getting into crunch time now in the season.
One more time. I heard most of them.
You've let some get away.
Yep.
Considering we're getting close to crunch time in the season, does that make what you guys did tonight overall without him? Without Domas in does that make it even more important for you guys?
I would just say for us to finish out a game like that the way we did, when Domas fouls out, definitely great for us. I mean, not in the sense of just finishing when Domas is out, but I think just finishing the game collectively. Like, there's going to be games where you win big, games where you have to, play by play, try to get the win that way. So, I mean, for us to get the win like that tonight, I think that just helps us as a team. Try to figure out how we're going to play down the stretch, and I think like in Portland, the game was kind of close towards the end, so just trying to figure out how to play together at the end of the game, and how we're going to go down the stretch and try to win it.
Hand in hand, and when you guys fell behind 29-9, you guys still pulled it together and gathered the same kind of mentality.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's a game of runs, and so they had a great first quarter. We didn't play our best ball, but I mean the game's not over. So we've been down big, we've been up big. So just try to attack it play by play. You're not going to win the game on one play. So just stick to it, and like play by play, give ourselves a chance to win in the end.
How tricky is this incorporating so many new guys?
Wait, one more time.
Incorporating so many new guys. How tricky is that for you guys?
Oh, it's definitely different. I mean, for us to add new guys, it's kind of like a little reset on the season, because we have to get them acclimated and try to get them to understand what we're doing, and also understand how they play, just things like that. So I think that's why it was huge for us to get this win in the way we did it tonight too.
What do you think are some of the biggest strides that you guys are making as a collective group that will kind of equal success down the road for yourself?
I think just playing off of each other. I mean, we got a lot of great players, so is when we learn how to play off of each other. I mean, it'll make the game easier for us.
Yeah, and then the Pelicans, obviously, for guys who weren't here last year, was a team that had your number. JV had been on that team. Just
right.
What does it mean to kind of get that off your back a little bit?
It feels good. I mean, yeah, the way it went last year is kind of crazy. So this year to kind of go to be 2-0 against them is, I mean, it's good, but I know we play them 2 more times within this week. So great to get the win, but now it's behind us. So focus on the next one, and I mean we play them again. So just try to eliminate that first quarter effort that we had, and I think we should be alright next time.
The Kings play the Pelicans 2 more times this week, but let me tell you, you got 6 more times this week to get out to Bennett's. 3 locations here in the greater Sacramento area, prime cuts of seafood and steak. Anybody make it out for brunch this weekend at all 3 locations? Roseville, Rockland, Howe, and Fair Oaks, 11 to 2 p.m. Prime rib. Anybody hit that up on the weekends after 3 o'clock? If you didn't, no worries. They'll be running it back this weekend. Happy hour 2 to 6. If you want to have something lighter, one of our favorite happy hours around. Also tonight, Monday, wine and dine, meaning you can get 2 entrees and an entire bottle of wine. Uber driver not included, under $70. Hell of a deal. They have got a little bit of everything for you, whether you want, like I said, that prime cut of New York steak, whether you want a filet. Love the redfish there. Absolutely incredible. Blacken, get some sauteed spinach with it, and a grilled piece of lemon. One of our favorite restaurants and a great sponsor here on the channel. I know BG has been out there a lot. Dennis hits it up all the time. Rich down in San Diego, when he gets to NorCal, comes to Bennett. So make sure you let us know when you go in. By the way, PK said if the Kings do not sweep the Pelicans, he's going to drop a $500 gift card on Furious Wolf in the chat. We'll see if he's a man of his word. Hopefully the Kings sweep, though. Furious, what are you doing there? Are you like rooting against the Kings? I don't know. That'd be tough because I always root for Bennett's, and you should too. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. You can make reservations. Valentine's Day coming up. What you going to do for the significant other? By the way, such a Hallmark holiday. Valentine's Day, really? Oh my gosh. That should be a righto. Anyways, not in the middle of a read. We love our Bennett's, and thank you for supporting them. Make sure you go check them out. Bennett'sRestaurants.com. We're going to be out there probably this weekend as well. So you will not be disappointed. I always tell you, if you go give it a try and you have a bad meal, you genuinely don't like it, send me the receipt. But if you do like it and you send me the receipt, that's bad karma, yo. That's terrible karma. Don't do that. But seriously, go check them out. Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Big thanks to Brian and the team out there for sponsoring today's edition in part of the Kings Court. Kings Mavs coming up in just about an hour. We are literally an hour from tip-off. Will the Kings remain over 500? They're at 500 right now. Can they go a game 2 over 500? We'll see. Looking forward to seeing if they get this one. No Anthony Davis tonight. Go figure. If you're Mavs fans, you get a little taste of Anthony Davis. What did he have? 26? You know, Kyrie had a quiet game last game. He has not been good to the Kings as of late. When he has actually played, he has caused problems for the Kings, but he only had 13 last game. They did beat the Rockets 116-105, but Anthony Davis, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists, and he didn't even play the fourth quarter because he got hurt. He's going to be out at least a month. Kyrie is going to be replacing him in the All-Star game. Our guy, Kessler Edwards, was getting some starts for Dallas. Probably won't now because they got Max Christie there, who I have not seen an updated thing. I know he is a game-time decision, so if you have an update there, put it in the chat. Would appreciate it. Tony the Lone Rider. Tony, did you come up with your own nickname, or did somebody gloss you with that? The Lone Rider. Pieces didn't fit and were too small, like the Kings. The Kings aren't as... here's the thing. I said this dating back to before the trade. It's okay to be on the smaller side. It's okay. You can still create your own mismatches, especially when it comes to speed, and especially when you have guys like DeMar DeRozan, how fundamental he is on the offensive side of the ball. Domas Sabonis, incredibly fundamental. Fundamentals can beat size and athleticism. That's why Domas has made a living in the NBA. But you have to amplify those things. You have to feature those things. When you try to go in between and try to say, roll the ball out there, just go do it, that's not what these pieces are necessarily made for. Now, the Kings made the best out of it the last 2.5 years. You know why? Because the core had been together for 2.5 years. You are incorporating so many new pieces to this team that you've got to give them a little bit more structure. Your guy, Keegan Murray, he needs structure. He needs structure. He does better in structure. I guarantee you will see his shooting percentages go up when the Kings play in more structure, which is much different than we have seen for a while. But you can tell when they're doing it. Bennett's was closed during the Super Bowl. How about that? Over under 25 assists for tonight. It's got to be over if the Kings are going to win. Has to be over. I'm more worried about the turnovers. Paul, how old is Adelman? Can we bring him in as a consultant? I don't think he's going to want to do that. I don't. I don't have an age on Adelman for you. Coach, he was the best. Lau, I suggest a Chris Berman type of nickname, Jake Lawrence of Laravia. Chris Berman, man. Chris Berman's turning into an old man right in front of our eyes. It's kind of awkward to watch, especially with the hair. It is really awkward to watch. Did you guys see the makeup lady hopping on to the screen and just hitting? She was doing a pit stop for Booger McFarland while he was still on screen. It was hilarious. It was, I guess it's Super Bowl. They're cutting cake on the set. It's just nuts when Chris Berman is doing a show. It is nuts. What's up, Stan? Flew up to Sacramento, caught the Kings-Pels game. Hopefully with our new players, we can get a little roll going. That's awesome. Did you have a good time? I heard the building had a really fun time that second half. Sounded like the building had a good time that second half. We're going to talk more about that. Also, want to talk more about the best thing, my favorite thing that I saw this weekend. Hands down. Before that, though, let's get to Baki. Baki, what's up, man?
Everything cool? Everything fine?
Everything's great. How about you?
Watching some games, waiting for the Kings. And Shorty, Rhino, what do you think? If Kings go like 1-2 in next 3, is the season over for you?
1-3? or 1 and
No,
2?
1 and 2.
No, the season's not over yet because I don't think you're in a great spot, but let's pull it up really quick. You still have, after the break, you're gonna see.
Yeah, but without watching the schedule, I mean, like feeling inside the team and
No,
playing
no,
against Pelicans twice and playing against Dallas without Anthony Davis. So what do you think?
no. I don't think the season's over because you're gonna have practice time with these guys, which is gonna be important. I think this whole Pelicans thing, and I know you're not doing it necessarily, Baki, but everybody's like the Pelicans suck. What you see with them losing 8 straight games, what you see with their negative net rating, negative 8.6, worst in the Western Conference, that was a lot of buildup from before some of these guys returned from injury. So if the Kings were to lose to the Pelicans, one of these next two, I would not be over the top upset over it. I would understand it. It's a hard matchup for them. But Bucky, there's just too much fluctuation in the Western Conference right now. And with the time off, I would be, I tell you what, you come out of the All-Star break and you're 1 and 2, then I'm more worried than I'm 1 and 2 in this stretch.
Good point, because for me, it's a different basketball after the All-Star break. It's always been and is always gonna be. But I don't know. I'm going for the win against Dallas and 1 win against uh, Pelicans. So it's gonna be really difficult to beat them twice on their own court. So I'm cheering for PK anyway.
Yeah. I think everybody's cheering. That's such a difficult position for the people to watch the show because you don't want the Kings to lose, but you want Furious to get a gift card too. I get it.
Well, it's gonna be interesting, but it's gonna be finished very soon.
Yep. What do you think about tonight? Any insight on what you're looking at
I
against
don't
Dallas?
know. It's okay. The inaugural game was over, and Davis was great. He's not gonna play tonight. I
Right.
don't know what to expect. It's always difficult in Dallas. I mean, the crowd, they always play with great energy. But last time, I don't know, we played great game. If I remember good, we played great game in Dallas. So let's bring it up again.
Yeah, let's see what stood out that game as I look back at the box and the scores. The Kings had 13, or no, excuse me, Dallas had 13 blocks that game. That was one thing. Now that I'm looking at it, the Kings were challenging too much inside and not
I would
spraying
like
enough out.
Valanciunas to be warm up good. If I mean, I expect from the guy to be, to rise from game to game, and I see them with the more points for the minutes he gets. I mean, he's not gonna get them if Sabonis is all right, and if Sabonis keep himself out of foul trouble, then we're good. But the minutes he gonna play, I would like to see more points from him.
I agree.
That will stabilize the team overall.
I agree. I think Sabonis has been too hesitant over the last couple of games to shoot the 3 ball. I thought he's passed up some good looks, as have other guys, for worse looks. And Valanciunas, he can shoot the 3 too. I think that's an important part about spreading the floor a little bit for that second unit is why not have him shoot a couple of them? Doug liked the fact that they shot 42 last game. I like that as well. So I would like to see that part of Valanciunas' game increase here in Sacktown.
Yeah. And about Dallas, my prediction, if PJ play, let's say, one solid game, not something special, normal game, we can win it. But if PJ going high, it's gonna be really difficult. because the guy is very hot right now.
Yeah. I hear you. Max Christie last game had 23.
Oh
coming
yes,
off the bench.
I forgot. Yeah, he is great. If he continues like that in these first 2 games, man, it can be really. He's like a loose from the chains. I don't know.
The one guy that worries me a little bit, and I know you shouldn't have to worry about him at this point of his career, especially because the Kings didn't even let him make a shot last year in the play-in. Klay Thompson. The way the Kings have been defending, I can still see the Kings leaving him a little bit and dropping down. And when I look at the big men for Dallas, I don't think there's a lot of reason that you need to drop down. They're not going to be ISO one-on-one guys. Gafford, he's going to be more athletic, getting feeds from other people, running the floor. So I just don't see any way that you can let Klay Thompson go off tonight. If Klay Thompson if he has 20 or more in this game, the Kings lose.
Shooters all around the court. But
Yeah.
interesting, whenever we played against the team which is in advanced, like bad shooters, not good 3-point shooters, they crushed us with 3-pointers. And when you're playing the team like tonight, where everybody's shooting the ball great, like Grimes, like Clay, like the kid from like PJ, like the guy from LA, I forgot. It's gonna be really tough if they're gonna shoot like that. But I don't know. Maybe our chance is in the paint. I will force the paint definitely.
Yep, I'm with you, brother. I appreciate
And
it.
we miss those Malik Monk aggressivity and energy stuff, like when entering the paint zone. So I hope we're gonna see more from him and Domas in playing pick and rolls, and I would like to see him going big points tonight. I mean, when Malik Monk plays with more than 20 points, it's always W.
He was scoreless at the half last game, so he needs to. One Bucky, you're somebody that will understand this. He's doing so. Everybody listening right now, hear me out. I'm not going to bring the drawing board back up, but when Malik is coming off of the pick and roll, he's snake dribbling so much. That snake dribble. That's one of those, like maybe 1 in 5, 1 in 6. It's a read play more than a go-to play, and it's turning into a go-to for him, and guys are not falling for it. The whole point of the snake dribble is to try to get your defender to crash into you behind you, and guys are staying away from it, and I think it's screwing up the downhill momentum for him at times.
How do you like pick and roll between Lavine and Sabonis? Do you find it?
I think it's awkward right now. I think it can look good, but it looks more awkward than it looks good most times.
I think other teams they are not used to that kind of pick and roll. I mean, this is the first time Sabonis and Lavine playing together, but as I see, that pick and roll can rise definitely, because Lavine definitely have that. He has that feeling for the floor pass, I would say, and I don't know if they can put it up and put it with more points. If Sabonis can use it with more points inside, it can be a really one kind of the base of all those possessions in offense. Because everybody are already reading that pick and roll between with Monk and Sabonis. So Fox is now the history, and now you need another pick and roll. So you need really quality pick and roll from Lavine and Sabonis, of course.
But that's the problem. It's not Lavine's game, and the Kings are asking it to be his game because they don't have a backup point guard. So it's frustrating. By the way, really quick for everybody, Dante Exum and Max Christie are available tonight per Jason Kidd. Anthony Davis, obviously, PJ Washington, Caleb Martin, Derek Lively II, and Dwight Powell are all out tonight.
So Christie, Grimes, PJ,
No, Christie and Exum are available. Out.
No. I'm just counting for the 3-point shooters. So PJ, Grimes, Christie, who else? Clay. They can really harm you from the line. I don't know what will happen.
We'll see. Baki, appreciate you, brother. Tell Tedora hi for me.
Yeah.
All right. Good job by Baki.
See you.
GP wants seconds. What's up, GP?
Hello. Can you hear me?
What's up? Yeah.
Hey, yeah, just wanted to chime in. I just realized AD is out, so I think we should attack the paint a lot this game. As far as yeah, I know you a few times you've said Mason's name on here for handling the ball. Do you know like how many games he has? Is there a specific number or amount of games that we could bring him up for the rest of the season? Or
I don't know how many he has left, but the two-way guys can dress 55 games.
okay, they can dress it because he's been on the bench there a lot. I know they haven't used him though.
Yeah, so that means if he's dressed, then he's on the active roster. So you can be on the active roster 55 times as a two-way guy. If you come up to game 56 and you're a two-way guy, you either can't play or the Kings have to put you on a full-time roster spot and promote you.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering about as far as Mason Jones, see if we could get him some PT. Do you think we made a good move by letting Kobe Jones go in that one, or do you think he would have been a help at all? Or
no, I think it was the right move. If his contract was different, then I might have reconsidered. But the fact that you had him for another, I think at least, well, you definitely had him next year, and I believe there was an option on the 4th year. He was right there, stuck between the same problem that Devin Carter is, stuck between the same problem Davion Mitchell was, where they're asking him to play point, and he's not a point.
I mean, out of them three, I think Mitchell was the better perimeter player, as far as but that's near here or there. Do you like our chances in these next 3 games? Like I think Baki was bringing up. Do you think we could go 3-0?
I think you can realistically. I think you go 2-1.
Okay. You think we'll drop one to the Pels?
I do. Yes.
Okay. And the Mavs team being shorthanded, man. We just I don't think we can take them lightly.
No.
This guy Christie there, Max Christie. He's on a tear, man. He's a young guy. He's hungry. He's not gonna miss a lot of free throws if you do foul him. He's gonna make the open shot. And like you're saying, I agree with you. We can't let Klay Thompson have a big game, or we can't let Kyrie get rolling there. We got to disrupt their offense for sure. Do you what kind of lineup do you think we can see if we are playing a big? You think Keegan at the 3, or do you like DeMar at the 3 more so?
No, if Doug Christie was going to go big, which I think it would be a great question to ask him. The media's been asking Sabonis and Valanciunas about it, but if Doug wanted to go big, you put Valanciunas at the 5. You go Sabonis 4, you go Keegan 3, and then you can put DeMar 2, even if you wanted to. That's his natural position. So there's a lot you could do there.
Yeah, definitely. I think there are a few different lineups he can maybe tweak during the All-Star break and maybe get these guys some more touches and more flow for the game. Um, with this team, what do you think our assist number has to be for us to get a win? I know we need a Monk to be in the high or somewhere in the 20s for us to be successful. As far as assist number go, where do you think we need to be? Around 30, or you think it needs to be a bit higher?
No, I think 30 wins you ball games. I think you can win 28 and over.
Okay. I'm not sure if you've looked at the rebounding numbers. Do you think we're? I mean, obviously we should be better, but do you think we are rebounding better as a team at this point, or?
I don't have them in front of me.
No, I mean maybe just with the eyeball test. I feel like we are when Valanciunas is in. When Sabonis is in, for some reason I'm only seeing him crashing a glass. Maybe Keegan here and there, and some guards will help, but it's usually Sabonis. Even if we get a fast shot up early in the point. Or the shot clock, or whether it's later, I see just Sabonis crashing in a lot of times. And I think we need more rebounders. What do you think?
Yeah. You know what? I'll address it really quick. GP, appreciate you, brother.
Hey, thank you.
So one of the things that Mike Brown had, most of you know this, crash zones. Crash zones, meaning if you were in a certain area of the court on the offensive side of the basketball, you were going to the offensive glass. Those have been loosely enforced under Doug Christie. And I don't think that the lack of the crash zones is affecting what you're seeing rebounding the basketball. What I think you are seeing affect rebounding the ball is guys playing a little bit out of position, meaning now that you don't have a backup point guard per se, you're seeing more Sabonis on the perimeter. If Sabonis is on the perimeter, really hard for him to get a rebound under the hoop unless he's the one shooting the three and follows his own shot. So that's a problem, number one. The second thing that I'm seeing is guys are just not communicating. I think I pointed it out on the whiteboard not too long ago about guys not communicating, where you've got two guys that one could easily be crashing the boards, or you have three guys that are headed all the way back to defense when the ball hasn't even got to the rim yet. So communication is absolutely key to me when it comes to rebounding. And I think to your point, GP, now with Laravia, he was doing a lot of the same things that Keegan does last game. He was keeping balls alive. Love it. So I think that that's going to help Keegan Murray. He's going to keep doing what he's doing. He has been excellent on the boards this year, and Valanciunas is definitely going to help you out. And when I talk about like the communicating, I talk about this team needing practice time. Let me kind of show you an example of what I'm talking about. I need to get my whiteboard cleared up first, and then I can tell you. But there's a play right here. If I can get this cleaned up. Oh no, you're just gonna keep giving me shapes. All right, my whiteboard's all screwed up. We'll show you the play later. But there was a play where guys were kind of declining screens and a shot's getting ready to go up to the hoop, and four of your Kings are beyond the 3-point line, and you only got one guy inside. So it's the little stuff like that. Practice time in this case is going to matter for this team, as we are about 35 minutes from tip-off for the Kings and the Mavs. I do not know how Haunted Horse is still listening to the show, considering he has a show himself right now. I've teased this a little bit. The best thing I saw this weekend was not the Super Bowl. Dick Vitale, towards the end of last week, returning to the college basketball booth. Awesome, for sure. Really cool stuff. I saw this. Look, the internet in some ways is undefeated. How do I put this? There's just certain things sometimes that you see on the internet and you're like, this is so stupid that it's funny. And last night, one of those things came up. I was watching a clip of the halftime show, which not sure if y'all watched the halftime show or not. I'm sure you did. I was kind of impartial to it. I don't really listen to a ton of Kendrick Lamar's basketball. Yeah, that's not surprising. Not surprising. Of course he is. I'm not really a Kendrick Lamar guy. I'm just not. Don't have a problem with him. Or just haven't really listened to his music, right? And so, you know how like you'll watch that first video and then a second video comes up that you don't choose, and it's this lady that's like in the middle of a, I don't know, like a thrift shop, a Goodwill, like some type of store. And she's got, I don't know if it's her husband, I don't know if it's like her older son that still lives at home, but she's got him playing keyboard and she's singing a song about honey sauce on biscuits. Don't let the honey sauce touch my chicken. And then she's talking about KFC in her song, but she's singing it so seriously, and it's the goofiest damn thing, but I can't get it out of my mind. I can't stop watching it. In fact, I'm like, hey, son, look at this. And he's looking at me like I'm a weirdo. So anyways, that, while interesting, was not the best thing that I saw all weekend. This, to me, was absolutely the best thing that I saw all weekend. Hubie Brown's last NBA game as an analyst. The guy has done it all in basketball. I remember growing up and watching games that I didn't give two craps about in terms of the team, but Hubie Brown was doing the game and I wanted to listen because I would learn something from Hubie Brown. He had an amazing ability, to break down very, very complicated basketball plays, very complicated things about the game of basketball, and make them so basic and so brief and to the point. He will open your eyes to an entire different world of basketball within the same game that you have been watching for the last 20 years that you didn't know exist. Not only that, he was an absolute freaking class act. I think I said it at the top. Jerry and he called me last night, I don't know, 9:00. And we spent like maybe 30, 40 minutes on the phone. We had a really good talk. But earlier in the week, I asked Jerry, I was like, okay, well, Jerry knows everybody, right? Jerry knows Jerry has a story about everyone in the NBA. So I figured Jerry would have had some good things to say, some inside stuff to tell me about Hubie with it coming up to his last game. And he's like, I got the chance to meet him once. I wish I would have got to know him more and spend some time around him more, but he shared the same sentiments as me, just about how special of a guy that is. And think about this. Hubie was calling a game into his 90s, calling a basketball game. That in its own, the fact that Mike Breen broke format to be with Hubie in Milwaukee for his last game, the respect that the broadcast showed Hubie, it was such a beautiful thing. Now, what I didn't expect, which just took it over the freaking top, is what happened after the game. This is right after the final buzzer. As they're getting ready, which they had an extended sign-off that they were going to do in a tribute to Hubie, but they were doing their first little segment together at the desk after the game had happened, and this ensued.
There you go,
The universal love and respect. You got more.
Oh, hey, my man. Yeah, great man. What a performance. Thanks, man.
And James Williams of the
Hey,
officiating
James.
crew.
How you doing, James?
Basketball fans everywhere.
Yeah.
Congratulations on an amazing career.
Well, thank
it's
you.
my privilege and my honor to present to you
Yeah, but Kevin,
today's game ball.
wait a second. Kevin Lockery and I used to lead the league in technicals every
love
year.
you, brother.
And you're actually giving me a present representing the refs? No, thank you very much. Just go back to the old timers that used to be working a two-man crew.
Yes, sir.
The heat was a heck of a lot better than you're getting here right now.
Congratulations.
No, but thank you, fellas. Really,
James,
best of luck on your
thank you.
careers.
Thank you.
Hope stay healthy, man. Okay? Thank you.
James, thank you.
We all got let in behind the curtain during that moment. And I wish I could show you the video. I wish I could. The NBA would violate us in a second. The NBA, don't even start me on the NBA and their little AI machine that trolls every single podcast, live cast out there. If you, I played a clip of a Kings post game interview, a Kings post game interview. It was Mike Brown. No, it was Doug Christie at the podium, and the NBA flagged us for it. Well, we didn't get a flag, but there was no monetization for that episode. So the NBA is the worst. But back to Hubie. It was a line of players. It was a line of coaches coming up and congratulating him. The PA announcer congratulated him. You've got all these people that are standing behind him, just taking in the moment. And then the crew chief of the game comes over. You heard what he had to say to Hubie, hands him the game ball. Like, I had chills. I have chills right now thinking about it. The utmost freaking respect paid to a dude that completely deserved to have that type of respect paid to him. Such a cool moment. I've watched it 3 or 4 times. 3 or 4 times. Congratulations to Hubie, man. I love Hubie Brown. I love Hubie Brown. Huge Hubie Brown house. He's like America's Jerry Reynolds. That's what Hubie Brown is. He is America's Jerry Reynolds. Great moment. Looks like a lot of you enjoyed that moment as well. Didn't know he was that old. Yeah, 92. 92. Did you see Dick Vitale return to the booth? I saw that. I wasn't so sure that, and I get watching Hubie, you know, they made some accommodations for him, sitting down a lot, understood. He's 92 freaking years old. Think about it. At 92 years old, to be able to call a basketball game, to have the mental acuity to not only understand what's going on with the game, but be able to take it to the next level. I mean, it's incredible stuff. Mike Breen was very emotional. You could tell how much Hubie is meant to Mike Breen. Awesome stuff. Talk about a cool thing. Dick Vitale, on the other hand, I wasn't sure he was going to make it through that broadcast. I'm glad he did. And I know he's battling cancer. The whole, I tweeted out, you remember Jimmy V talking about the 3 things that you should do every day. You should laugh, you should think, and you should cry. Dickie V did all 3 of those things. I would expect, unless circumstances change, that will probably be Dickie's last game. Patrick, I know Patrick follows these guys really well. I'm 59. I can't describe my meal. Never mind a basketball game. You're good, Patrick. You are good. Yeah, I'm with you. GP chimed in. I usually yell at people that DM, but I'll let it fly. Both should be considered great goats of announcing basketball in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I'm with you. Hell, to be able to see a game at 92, right? I guess like for me though, what was cool is like I'm looking at your Damian Lillards. I'm looking at all these guys that are coming over to shake Hubie's hand, to congratulate him. That's all stuff that probably has happened off the air, will happen when they're off the air, but to do it while they're on the air, like to me, like you got a rare glimpse of what happens behind the scenes. None of that was planned. That was not planned by ABC. Now, maybe the referees had that planned. The players knew that they were going to go up and say to him, but that was a very impromptu and personal like moment within this whole broadcast that was about Hubie. That was so cool. But for a Damian Lillard who's younger than me to really understand what Hubie Brown's meant to basketball, both as a coach, I just thought it was awesome. Lesson here is to love what you do. Nailed it, Dirk. Good job. BG, Jay Uso picked Gunther for Mania. Let's go. Okay, BG. Yo, BG. 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 I'm going to give you a pass. Okay? I'm going to give you a pass because you are new to the channel. No more spoilers. No spoilers. No wrestling spoilers in the King's Court. I will throw people out of the King's Court if you spoil my wrestling. You know, I do all these shows, which I love doing. We do the King stuff. And when it's time for me to relax and not rewatch a game, you know what I do? I kick my feet up and I throw a wrestling show on. I was looking forward to that announcement later tonight live on Netflix. BG. I just can't watch it right now because I'm talking with all of you. And now I know, BG.
It's outrageous, egregious, preposterous.
That it's Jay Uso who will be challenging Gunther. Not a surprise. Not a surprise there. It's all good. You knew that was going to happen. He's not going after Cody. In fact, I'll give you another pass here, BG. I did not even watch SmackDown. So, but in the future, please, y'all, especially if it's a pay-per-view and we're doing shows, don't put results in the chat. Just don't do it.
All right, now, mommy, daddy button.
That's what it feels like to me. I'm just like, oh, man, just looking forward to that. You're all good, BG. You had no idea. You had no idea. It used to be worse, though, when you were paying like 50, 60, 70 bucks for a wrestling pay-per-view, and then somebody would spoil it. That would be so much worse. Donald spoiled it for you. How rude. All good. It was one of the more obvious things. Now, the question becomes, does anybody get added to that match? Does anybody get added to that match? Valentine's Day plans. No, not really. We look, I like to think I celebrate her every day of the year. I don't need flowers and chocolates and a Hallmark card on a specific day. She just had her birthday too. So on the 30th of last month. And she's I've learned so much about hair products. Not when I say products, not like gel, not like, conditioner, shampoo, like the styling and the blow drying, like the crash course that I had to do to try to pull off her present in collaboration with some other people in our family, because it was a little bit of a big gift, so we all went in on it together, but I got it wrong. Yeah, I got it wrong. When she went to open her present, she was looking at it, and it was what's that? What's that? When we were expecting oh my gosh, this is what I wanted. I got it wrong. But she got what she wanted. So I got it right the second time. So no, that should probably suffice. We'll make some nice dinner. One of my buddies taught us, well, he taught me when I was in Wisconsin, how to make homemade gnocchi. And so I have promised her since Wisconsin that we would make homemade gnocchi, and I've not done it. So I'm thinking maybe we will do that for Valentine's Day. I think that's what Valentine's Day will be for sure. Yeah. Paul, dude, Paul. Think about Paul, those Dyson vacuums? I think like the Cyclone, the whatever. We have one of them, right? Well, Dyson makes like these things for hair that do everything. It's literally it's a styler, it's a blow dryer, it's red light therapy, it's a diffuser. I only knew what a blow dryer was before this last week, so should have known. Yeah, that was crappy. Certified simp, dude. Excuse me. I don't really have a lot of lettuce. It's pretty simple to take care of. Don't you want most of my time, if you're watching this show, spent on basketball and breaking film down and not breaking down Dyson hair appliances? I think that's fair, but at least I gave it a try. I get an A for effort. What's everybody else doing for Valentine's Day? Anybody doing Bennett's? Get your reservations right now. Should definitely get your reservations. Paul, like, I thought this thing, I'm telling you, bro, the attachments that come with this thing, it's insane. The travel case that comes with this thing, like, the only thing that I think this Dyson thing doesn't do, I halfway expected that it would be like one of those hair vacuums too from like back in the 80s. Like if she wanted a haircut, she could just put that thing right to her dome and it would trim the edges too, or however the hell she wanted it to go. That's the only thing it doesn't do, but it does pretty much everything else. More hair products, please. Yeah, so why are we talking about hair? Yeah, we're a little deep into the pregame show. We have talked a lot of Kings. We do a little bit of parody here on the show. Marty, do you not have hair? Marty, are we offending you? BG, got a question for you. Rhino, have you ever shown folks your setup? Think that would be awesome to see. I have not. You see what's behind me. It's the King's Court studio. Got my own studio here. Maybe we'll do that someday. But everything behind me has a reason for sure. There's a certain meaning to every single thing that is behind me. But back to tonight. Big night for the Kings, looking to stay one game or go to one game over 500. Look, the energy should be pretty good in Dallas. Not going to lie. But that being said, you can kill that energy really quick because they're ready to be down now that Anthony Davis is going to be not just out for a few weeks or a month. Anthony Davis is not going to be reevaluated for a few weeks or a month. Max Christie in, Dante Exum in, both available. Everybody else on the list out. So the Kings, the Dyson, the ultimate woman's product, brought to you by Rhino, right? You see, I should have hit up Dyson and said, hey, do you want to work together? Would you like us to promote your product? I didn't know anything about it 3 weeks ago, but now I could tell you all the specs, could tell you where to get them, could tell you the warranty, sure as hell tell you the price. Dyson, let's work together. How about you throw me one of those, Dyson? Why don't you toss one my way? So I can really look at it, test it out, make sure that I understand how to properly represent your product. Then you wrap it, throw a bow on it. Hey, sweetheart. Yeah, that would have been nice. But no, getting back to tonight, you could kill that energy real quick. I think the Mavericks fans are tired. And here's why I say they're tired. They got their moment, right? They got their moment on national TV with their caskets that they brought to the arena, their protests. Now, one thing that's not cool, which I ain't down with, is the death threats that Nico Harrison was getting. But hey, that's where we are. That is where we are in America, right? Terrible. Be upset with the GM? Fine. Get a refund for your season tickets? Fine. Death threats? The hell out of here with that garbage. Anyways, I think they're a little tired. They've been through it the last week and a half. So I think you could break that fan base. You could break that energy with a quick start. Now, if I'm Doug Christie too, here's the other thing. I am not going to be hesitant to change that lineup early. I mean, if you start to see indications that there's zero energy on the floor like you did against New Orleans, I'm making a wholesale substitution. I ain't screwing around. This is the testing phase for Doug Christie. You have 3 games to see what works, see what doesn't work. Basically, what Doug Christie has right now is a free pass to figure it out on the fly. Nobody's going to judge him if he does weird things with the lineup. And I'm not talking about weird things like start the two-way players. I'm talking about going Valanciunas, Sabonis on the floor if you need to at times. Getting Keon into the game, getting Jake into the game 9 minutes into the first period if you need to. That is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Also, you got to find a way to put pressure on the defense. Malik Monk needs to have a bigger game. I think he's set up to. What are you going to do about Kyrie Irving? How are you going to play the pick and roll? That is, to me, the biggest argument to why Keon needs to play as many minutes as anybody else tonight on this roster. It's that pick and roll that Dallas is going to run with Kyrie. Kyrie has had his way with the Kings the last couple times. Looking at the stats from the last time these two teams played, he did not play in that game, but I go back to last season when Kyrie was healthy, he killed the Kings. He was a problem. Remember the games in Sacramento, the 2 that really sent the Kings for all intents and purposes to the play-in? Yeah, those 2. He was a handful. So can the Kings communicate? Can they play it the right way? Can they not let guys who should not get going? I think the answer is yes. The Kings the last few years, the last 2 years, in fact, they had 2 friendly matchups last year in Dallas. Dallas was coming off of a game the night before in both cases. One of them was Minnesota. I forget who the other one was. I think it was Houston. But the Kings played well both times in Dallas last year. It's a building they can play well in. The Kings as an organization have had some great moments in that shoddy old building. So I expect a decent night from this team. And by the way, we still have not seen that offensive explosion yet. We haven't seen it. We've seen a defensive explosion. Yes, 45 points is a lot, but I'm talking about like a Zach LaVine offensive explosion. Still waiting on Keegan Murray, who's trending the right way. But can everybody put it together for a night? I think if you put it together tonight, it sends you into New Orleans with good morale. Really good morale. Really quick, if you're just joining the show, I'm going to replay Malik Monk's comments. There is an F-bomb in here. I will try to blurt it out. But he hits on a lot of stuff that I think is pretty much on the head. Malik is the most candid king when it comes to the media. In fact, I will tell you my experiences with Malik Monk. There is not much different than what he will say on camera from what he will say behind the scenes. I think he spits a lot of truth on a lot of different areas right here. Take it for what you will. Here was Malik Monk after last game.
Pull this one out against a team that has kind of had your number over the past season.
Oh yeah, big win, man, especially at home. Finally get one with the new guys. The crowd was in and everybody was in, so it was great to get this.
What was not working in that first few minutes of this game? Maybe that first quarter.
We just weren't moving the ball. We were stagnant. Just thinking too much. One pass, shot, things like that. Then DC told us we knew we had to turn it around. They were getting too many easy looks on the defensive end. I think that's why our defense was stalled. I mean, our offense was stalled out. So we turned it around.
You guys got things rolling really quickly to erase it.
Second unit. Big ups to the second unit. Jake, first round, made a huge impact. JG, Keon, do what he's doing. So yeah, it was the second unit came in and changed it for us.
When you guys think about success going forward, which is what has to kind of be the things that
Acknowledge me. Defense, man. Not giving up offensive rebounds, getting all the loose balls, all the little things on the defense end, boxing out. If you do all those things, we'll have a chance to win.
When Domas gets that fourth foul, the game there up by 1.
Record matters, Daniel. Record matters. It's as much. It's an individual award graded on a team curve. So yes, they selected Kyrie.
When you feel down by the way, you guys just find out with maybe a stretch. One of the best stretches the night really took control. Hey, what happened during that stretch? And how impressed were you, or how nice was it to see from you guys? Because fourth quarter has not always been that nice.
Yeah. We just came together as a team. We knew we had to protect Domas outside of the lane because when they drive in there, that's when he get his fouls. When we being a little lazy. So yeah, we just had to lock in and come together as a team. And yeah, I was happy, super happy that happened. Especially like I said, at home, in front of the crowd, in front of the fans. So
it's something like that stick with you to where like down the road as we're getting to crunch time to play, you can not say, "Oh, remember what we did here."
No, yeah, you say remember. Say remember because that's the way we was playing. So we seen we could do it. So we got to do it a little bit more often now.
You know, Zach obviously is a talent in this league, but now that you're a teammate, is there anything that kind of sticks out since he's been here that you may have
that motherfucker ain't hitting no threes like everybody else. Right. God damn.
Something about being the king.
I don't know what it is. This shit broke right now. I'm just saying. He gonna start hitting them though. He's got to get a few games under his belt. But yeah, it's always good to have another go-getter out there, another electronic score. And yeah, just another offense.
An electronic score. I'm gonna give Malik hell for that next time I see him. Anyways, getting back to this one, Doug Christie. I'm gonna throw this out there really quick. This team needs to get to the line. I don't expect them to get to the line 18 times in a quarter, but I think they need to have at least 28 free throw attempts tonight. At least, because then that allows them to, even if they're struggling offensively and not making field goals, it allows them to set their defense still. You get some points with the scoreboard stopped. Too many stretches in the first quarter with very minimal scoring. And I mean minimal. The Kings, the score was, check this out. The score was 17-11. The Kings were down 6 against New Orleans. The Kings go miss 3 free throws, miss 2 free throws, miss 3, turnover. They make a couple baskets, and then they end the quarter with missed buckets. If I'm Doug Christie, I got to break that stuff up. Last thing I'm doing, by the way, if I'm Doug Christie, I'm making sure this team executes better out of timeouts. It's got to be better. That's when you have set plays. Execute better. That's it for us, y'all. We are back at the halftime. Grant and I bringing you the first half highlights, talking about our keys to the second half. We'll get your scores. We'll give you our score prediction. And then don't forget, after the game, we are here to take your calls, hopefully talking about another Kings victory. The new guys got to light the beam last time. Let's let them take us out. Maybe they will be lighting it again. Here they were after the game. Go Kings! We'll see you at the end of the first half.
I want to say thank you for support. Second, let's let the team. We're going to help you with a countdown. We're going to count it down from 5. Honestly, you guys slam it at the end, okay? Kings fans, let's do this. 5, 4, 3, 2,